Hi, this is Doug Bush from Doug Bush Visual Designs, and happy to share with you a video version of a presentation that I use in my visual design workshop. So we're looking at the field as a stage, discussing the zones, power channel, the field of view, and then how they could be manipulated on the football field. And we'll look at some specific examples, some video, and some renderings through Pyware. First of all, you think of the field being divided into thirds, front to back. So if you're a high school band director, we're thinking about where those hash marks are. That divides the field in thirds. If we're a college director, then it's even a little more. It's a little in front of or outside of the hash marks, I should say, toward the sideline. If you want to think strict thirds, but you can also think of that middle zone maybe being a little narrower. But the front zone is highest intensity in immediacy. I mean, it's right there in front of the hash mark. We're kind of in the crowd's face. They can pick up on smaller movements or body visuals we may be doing with the ensemble. Whereas if we were doing that same movement back in the back zone, they may not read as well. So it's a different kind of feeling when the group or the ensemble is in that front third. We have the middle section, the center zone, that's building intensity. So it could be moving from the back zone toward the front. And then you could also think of it, well, if we're moving away, so say we're in the front zone and then we move into the center zone, that relaxes things a little bit. Okay, so it kind of works both ways. It says building intensity, but it can actually be both directions. And then the back zone, retreating. So you'll see designers use that back zone a lot for down endings. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen in the front. Doesn't mean it couldn't happen in the middle. But you see that a lot in the back where we direct the observer's eye maybe to that back left corner for a color guard solo or dance solo. All right. Then we can look at the field as far as the center channel or power channel between the 35s. When we bring people into that area, wind players, percussionists, that's like center stage. There's no doubt this is what we're listening to. This is what we're looking at. And that's really where most of the action happens. Then we do things to draw people's eye either away from that power channel, like I was talking a minute ago, into the back corner, or vice versa. So we're throwing focus in and out of that power channel throughout the production. Then if you think of the field as a whole, we don't really use the whole field, right? The field of view, those front corners are pretty much cut off. Can they be used? Yes. However, it's tricky. You have to direct someone's eye, give them something to follow over a pretty long period of time. You can't do it like in four counts. You have to, start something that happens maybe on the 50-yard line and then goes to the right and leads us to that front right corner. But it has to be artfully done to make it work. All right. And then the third part of this is thinking about vertical spacing. All right. So the same three zones running horizontally, the front, the center, and then the back. Thinking about how much space needs to be between either performers or separate forms. So if you have, say, a block and a curvilinear that's connected to that block and maybe wraps around behind it, it's going to need some space in order for us to be able to read that curvilinear. So if we're up there at the numbers, between the numbers and then, say, the hash mark, 8 steps can work, okay? However, once we get to the center, it needs to be 12 or more. Think about distance between color guard members and band proper or the wind section proper. We want to be able to see color guard's full body to get the full impact or the full contribution from members, performers, as they perform their body movements and movements with the equipment. Think about the triad, okay? So if you have the color guard too close to the win group, then there's going to be bleed over, and we're not going to be able to read what the color guard is doing as well. So I suggest 12 or more from the center stage back, and when you get to that back third, it really needs to be probably 16 to be really effective. Then we're looking at ways to manipulate the stage. Define the space with props. Define the space by covering the field. We're going to look at that, and can even change the space by covering the entire field. We'll look at one example of that. So first is pretty simple, defining like a border, right? So those pillars, those white pillars, kind of define the stage where the action's going to happen. It really doesn't make a lot of sense for a lot to happen outside of those pillars. It really does divide up the stage or the field. Now, I know I don't know it's so much common now, but when I started teaching college and moved to the Midwest, I encounter people all the time that I hate props. I don't like props in marching band. I don't like props in drum corps. And I was always saying, well, I don't understand why. Part of it I think was because they were seeing props not done very well. And so I kind of had this list. When I see props, I go to this, all right? So most effective props are impactful, so an appropriate size. And this is something that a lot of people get wrong, all right? They think, oh, well, 8 feet tall by 4 feet wide, that's really big. But then you put it on the field and you put it behind the front hash mark even, it starts turning into a postage stamp, all right? So you have to think really big. So I always coach people, like if you're thinking about a prop, think about a size and then make it bigger. If you really think that you're on the right track, get something that size, go out on the football field, put it where you think you want it to be on the field, and look at it from up in the stands. All right? And then think about the venues you're going to be in. Are you going to be in high school stands for the whole season? Are you going to be performing in a large pro-style stadium? Are you going to be in Lucas Oil? Are you going to be in a college stadium? How's it really going to work in those different situations? Is it going to be big enough? Is it interactive? Does it serve multiple purposes? Or is it merely a screen for the color guard to run behind and change equipment? Or for win players to hide behind at the beginning of the show, or whatever it is? Can it have more uses than that one singletary purpose? All right. Is it mobile? Is it something that can move around the field so that you can change the stage? Right. Think about stage production and how they're able to manipulate the stage to have different scenes. There may be pieces that turn and have one thing on one side and another thing on another, or even three sides. How are you able to move that around the field so that you can get the maximum use out of it and direct the viewer's focus different ways? Do they look professionally made or built? They have to look good. You want it to match up with the performance level that you want your group to achieve. All right. So when we're making something, we want to really get into studying it, understanding how it needs to be built, how it's going to work, and put it out there and look at it. If it's something that is going to change the show, it's going to have lights on it, for instance. Are they going to be bright enough? All those kinds of things. It needs to be on a professional level. You want your students, your performers, to have professionally looking equipment. Okay, we're going to look at an example. This is the 2014 Blue Coats, and what I love about this prop, it's the same prop, right? Multiple uses of the same prop, and they're able to move them easily. The performers can move them themselves. They also, even though they're very simple, depending on where you are and looking at it, you pick up on a different color. And so here we go. course, the other genius about that is that the whole show is kind of built on that shape, that the fact that it's tilted, right? They tilted the whole field using that orange border. So very simple idea, but really, really well executed. Another way we can use props is to defining the space. And this is an example of a small group. And so they're pretty much saying, look, this is the part of the field that we're going to use because we are small and we're able to fill up this space, and we're actually able to manipulate the football field to take us to a different place. All right. It's no longer a football field. We'll watch just a little bit of Jackson Academy.
Joining us from Jackson, Mississippi, please welcome the Jackson Academy Marching Band. Jackson Academy show will include the following musical selections: See the World, In Her Name, and Minuano. Are the judges ready?
And you can see that they've defined this to look like the beach.
Drum Major Andy Melton, is your band ready?
We have a little castle there in the middle.
Jackson Academy Marching Band, you may take the field in Grand National Finale competition.
It's a sand color, that blue. Also provides places for the performers to enter the field from. You get the idea there. The other thing to consider with that is that whatever that tarp, the colors used in that, then that also is going to have to be considered when we're choosing our color guard equipment and what that palette that we're going to be working with. And I think this is a really good example here with the Choctaw High School with this whole water idea they have going on, and you can also Boston Crusaders. The shipwreck show, right? You look at how they're able to use the tarp, defining parts of the field. They had the beach on one side with the ocean, talk about Crusaders. And then as you moved across the field to the left, they have the forest represented by these white, they look like trees, but there are no leaves or anything on them. And so you're able to set up this thing where you're taking the audience away from, hey, I'm in a stadium, I'm looking at a football field. They're being transported to wherever you want to take them. All right. This next group, very interesting, 18 O'Fallon Township High School. You can see they've covered the entire field. They've made it a white canvas, and then dressing the ensemble in all black really defines things. I mean, things have to be really defined from a performance standpoint, but you're able to read everything. This would read completely differently if they were wearing that black on the green football surface. Let's watch a little bit of this.
Township High School's show is entitled Stretching the Canvas and features music by Philip Glass, Norman Villajoya, Ivan Heath, and Michael Darby. Bands of America is proud to present in Grand National semifinals performance, drum majors Anna Wagner, Austin Dixon, Gabby Brunner, and Hannah Risberg, and the O'Fallon Township Marching Panthers.
working with the white background, white palette, and then the black in the performance. Any other color you introduce is immediately sharp contrast. Like throwing little drops of paint on the white canvas. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this discussion about the field as a stage. Please leave me a comment. Love to hear from readers. Thanks.